advising, the legend, and then their competency requirements, their graduation writing assessment requirement, and then on pages 1 going into page 2 will be their American institutions. So this is what I was talking about, how where you can see this student has taken 2 courses, and they are clearing American history and the United States Constitution. Can anyone tell me why History 110 is not clearing California state and local government? Based on the name of the school. It's in Arizona, that's correct, so it's out of state. So then what will the student take for California state and local government? Exactly, any one of those classes except for History 110, because they already have credit in it. Yes?
Where do you see what school they're coming from? Or that they're from?
On the right-hand side. So it's, you see the course is on the right side, and then how it came over to SDSU.
Yes, it's easy.
So the question is, how do I? No,
Second page.
Under American institutions. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
AZ. So do they only have to complete 1 course since that's what it says, or do they have to do that 2 course?
No, they only have to do 1 course.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a good question. I'm glad you brought that up. So it's been this myth that the only way to clear all 3 components is by taking the matching set of classes, History 109, History 110. That's not true. So if a student takes 109, they could take Political Science 102, they could take whatever else, whatever other component they need, any course that's listed there. In this student's case, they just can't repeat a course they already have college credit in, so they would select something besides History 110. Any questions? No, you good?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes?
Yeah, just to clarify, so it doesn't satisfy, this requirement because it's not a California school?
That's correct. Yep. Any other questions on that? Yes.
It's because it's a national exam, right?
No, AP's different.
Oh, they didn't take AP?
No, they went to Arizona State University.
Oh, that's,
Yeah.
okay.
But AP can't work either because AP is a national exam, that's correct. Any other questions on that? Okay. All right, so moving on.
Wait, no, yeah, a little bit.
Did I hear wait? No, okay. All right, so there are American institutions. Okay, so next up is the language requirement, if it's required by the major, which in this case it is. And then he gets the general education. So, okay, so this student attended a California community college. So, and an out-of-state school, and they satisfied most of their GED. So we're gonna honor every course, every transportable course taken, and you can see here and on the next page that some of their lower division GED is satisfied. This is important for transfer students. When you see that all of the lower division general education is completed, except for 1 box, most commonly it's going to be the humanities section, stop before suggesting courses and come get an advisor. And this is because we may be able to move courses around and grant an exception. That's not a guarantee, so don't mention that to the student. Just come and get one of us. When you see multiple boxes that say transfer certified or satisfied by transfer certification, and most of the boxes say that, but there's 1 box that says, nope, you still need classes, stop and come get an advisor. Okay? Any questions on that? Okay, great. So above the DE boxes, oh, nope, never mind. Yeah.
What's the exception that it would be?
I'm not gonna go into it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually an encoding kind of thing, which is why I don't really go into it, and we don't wanna tell the student.
Right.
It's just that we, our system has some limitations.
Okay.
And so when you're working with students that have attended, especially the ones that have attended local community college, and it's not all collapsed down into one little box that says satisfied by transfer certification, when it's broken out in boxes like that, that means they also attended somewhere else that wasn't a certifying institution. So that kind of messes with it, and it might actually, we might be able to certify. So that's why you wanna come grab one of us.
So that they can move on to their numbers.
Exactly, so that we're not telling them to take a class and then they come in 3 months later to the advising center and we tell them they didn't have to take that class. Yeah, but there's no guarantee. So you don't wanna be too specific with the student, you just wanna say, I wanna double check something, I'm just gonna go grab an advisor. Usually we can eyeball it and very quickly decide if we're gonna follow up with that student because we see.
Will there be an advisor in every section that's doing?
Yeah, during the labs, I'll be at every single orientation computer lab, and then along with me, there will be several other advisors. Yep. Any other questions? Okay, so let's go on. Okay, so above where you see communication and critical thinking, you're gonna see the minuses, and you see for example, they need their minimum general education units at SDSU. So, okay, actually, let's flip back the page. So we can see that their minimum general education units, they've actually completed that. They have 49, it's a plus sign. But then when you flip to the next page, you see minimum general education units at SDSU, 9, is not completed. But neither is their upper division general education unit, 9. So that will take care of both those requirements just by finishing your exploration. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. So the 9 units that have to be taken at SDSU, this is referring to a residency requirement. And the 9 units of upper division units is referring to the explorations. Okay. So let's turn to the last page of the degree evaluation. All right, so like I mentioned with our philosophy major, so we didn't have a whole lot to look at. Actually, second to last page, sorry. So right above academic coursework, you may see a sentence that says, information regarding how courses you have taken will be treated. So this will list any courses that were deemed non-transferable or any unit deductions. So non-transferable courses are under the heading courses which do not transfer. And everyone's evaluation should have a course, right? That says courses that do not transfer. Okay, perfect.
There's no transferable or what?
I'm gonna get to that. No, that's okay. Unit deductions. Yeah, absolutely. So in this case, first is listed any courses a student may have taken that are not transferable. This most often is intermediate algebra, pre-algebra, those below college level courses. Second to last page. So you guys don't have one. Yeah, you don't have one. So I printed this and then I made adjustments. So none of you have a class on here that says, none of you have this, do you? The Math 110, okay. So my notes are right. I printed this prior. So that's what it will look like. I decided I wanted you to see what it'll look like. The student has non-transferable coursework. So above academic coursework, there's 2 things that may appear. Courses which do not transfer and credit adjustments, okay? So next, let's talk about credit adjustments, because that's the other thing that you may see on evaluation. So this student has a credit adjustment, and it looks like we are deducting credit for Econ 101 taken at San Diego Community College, SD-Com, in spring of 16. So can anyone tell me why we are deducting that credit? Yes.
They already took it.
They already took it. They already have credit in it. They can't take it again. Just like we wouldn't want a student to come here and take History 110 if they already, this same student actually, right? We don't want them to take History 110 because they already have credit in it. So that's why this econ was deducted, because if you look underneath academic coursework, remember, this is gonna be a chronological listing of every class they've taken. On the right-hand side will be the class at the transfer institution, and on the left-hand side will be how it transferred to SDSU. So if you look, the student took Econ 211 at Arizona State University in fall of 13, which transferred as R101. And then in spring of 16, they took Econ 120, which transferred as R Econ 101. So we're not going to give them credit for the second attempt, because they already passed the course. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, you see the letter X. So if you're looking at an evaluation and you're not understanding what happened there, you can flip to the front page and you can look under that legend. So you're looking for the letter X. And it says, it explains, this means course not included in GPA, no units earned. And then you can start putting it together. Well, why wouldn't we give them units? And then you can go back to the chronological listing and say, they already received credit in the course. Does that make sense? Great. Oh, yes, thank you.
Why wouldn't a specific course transfer?
You mean as far as courses that do not transfer?
Yeah.
Usually it's going to be like an intermediate algebra
Okay.
or developmental writing, kind of like our courses that fulfill the
Okay.
ELM, EPT. They're below the 100 level, so they're not college level courses.
So if they took out like a different college or community college, it would, and is a class that like translate to a lower level course, it just wouldn't?
It doesn't transfer.
Or if it's like a class that, a specific class we don't have or something?
No, it's not that it's a class that we don't have. We're going to talk about that, what it looks like when a course transfers in and it doesn't have an SDSU equivalent, but it is transferable.
Okay.
What we're looking at when we evaluate those transfer courses are first we look at, are they transferable?
Okay.
So are they above the 100 level, and if they are they still transferable classes? Like intermediate algebra, no matter what the number is never going to be a transferable course.
Okay.
That's the majority of what you'll see up there,
Okay.
are those developmental math and the developmental writing. Yes?
So since they took Econ 101 the second time in 316, they can't get credit for it. But is it possible because I noticed that the person got a higher grade the second time they took it. Is it possible to get credit for the higher grade ever, or is that okay?
Nope. You cannot repeat a course in which you've already gained credit. Yep. Yes.
Could, like, say this student, I was gonna say, take an upper division course for their major before being admitted into the major? Is that possible? Like, say they wanted to take a class, upper division course that's needed for the major, but like, they're still considered pre-major, right? Or is it different for each?
That's kind of a hard question to answer. Most of the students that you'll be working with are going to be, that day, will be switched over from the pre-major to the upper division major.
Okay.
So, if a student specifically has a question and they think they should be allowed to take upper division courses, but they're still in the pre-major, at that point, you probably get one of the advisors. Yeah, because there might be something a little funny with the record.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
Like, because if there is an upper division course that doesn't have any prereqs, but say like you have enough credit and you kind of want to move things down in your schedule, can you do that? Like, kind of like what she's saying. It's an upper division course, but like you have room in your schedule.
The rule of thumb is a student cannot move on to upper division until they're done with the impaction criteria. With transfer students, most transfer students will be done with their prep for major and meet all the impaction criteria, so they can move to the upper division. But if they're not in the system as upper division majors, the answer may be no. So at that point, you'd want to come get one of the advisors, and we can work with the student and their major department to figure out. So usually the answer is no. If they're in the pre-major, then they still have something left to complete.
What if like you're completing all of them in that semester, but you still have room to add one more?
Usually the answer would be no.
Okay.
Yeah, but in that case, you could come and grab an advisor, and you could just double check. Any other questions?